Hey, hope everybody is good. Hope you had a good spring break. I'm actually recording this like the Friday before spring break because I don't plan on doing any biology and work stuff over spring break if I can help it. So I'm looking into the future. I hope that we all had a good spring break, even though I'm recording this before. Let's look at, now that we're meeting back after spring break, let's look at what we've got to do this week. So first off, we're going to meet in person for lab 7. It's a genetics lab. This, honestly, it's pretty easy lab if, and here's the big if you have already watched the chapter 11 lecture. That was the genetics chapter where we talked about Mendel and Punnett squares and things like that. All right. So if you've gone over that lecture already, and if that kind of makes sense, if you took notes and everything, really this is just going to be a good chance to practice and review Punnett squares and ratios. And I know that doesn't sound exciting, but there's some kind of cool stuff we get to do with this lab. So it's kind of neat. There's not really any hands-on. Like when you walk in lab, there's not going to be any equipment out, but it is a really good way to practice, and we get to kind of think through some scenarios. Like if you know your traits and your significant other's traits, you can predict what type of traits your kids can have. So it's kind of neat. I like this lab a lot. It's honestly not going to take a ton of time, I don't think. As long as you have done the chapter 11 lecture, which you're supposed to do that. That was the one you were supposed to watch the week before spring break. As long as you're kind of familiar with that, this one shouldn't be too bad. So we'll have a little bit of free time. And what I want you to do, I know I posted an announcement last week over spring break, that if you could look over chapter 10, 11, and 12, those are all the ones we were supposed to have done already. If you'll look over those, I think we're going to have enough time in lab to do like a real quick mini review. It's not going to be long. It might just be like 10 or 15 minutes, but just a quick chance to review some of the material that we've gone over before the test, which is going to be next week. All right. I know spring break was a good chance to like take a deep breath and relax, but if you're not careful, it's also enough time to forget a whole bunch of stuff that we talked about earlier. So we'll have a really quick review. All right. If you're watching this before we meet for lab, just make a list of any questions you have on chapters 9, 10, 11. And if you want to go ahead and look at chapter 12, you can make note questions on that too, and we'll have a chance to kind of review that. Okay? All right, so lab, we're meeting for lab 7. The thing that you're going to do on your own time this week is the chapter 12 lecture video. And this one, it sounds terrible. It's the molecular biology of the gene. That's just talking about DNA and how the molecules that make up our DNA. So if you remember, we talked about the letters A, T, C, and G, adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. We're going to go back and talk a little more about those, and we're going to look at how your DNA makes a copy of itself, how your DNA is used to make proteins like your hair and your skin tone and things like that. So that's kind of a neat chapter too. So watch that one sometime this week, and then the review quiz is going to be due Sunday, April 11th. All right, so that's it for this week. Now, next week, there's a bunch of really important stuff, so let's go over that real quick. All right, first off, exam 4 is going to be next week. So that is, the dates on that are, if you're in group A, it's going to be Tuesday, April 13th. If you're in group B, that's Thursday, April 15th. All right. So that's on chapters 9, 10, 11, and 12. So just make sure you're preparing for that. Again, we'll do a real quick mini review, but that's not going to like take the place of you studying and preparing for exam 4. All right. The other reason that next exam is so important is that's going to be our last exam before the deadline to withdraw from courses. All right. Now, if you're doing good in here, like if you're happy with your grade, just ignore this part. But if you are not doing as well as you wanted to, and I would definitely say, like, if you're failing right now, check your average as soon as we're done with watching this message. Check your average. And if you have a failing grade, contact me. Like, get in touch with me. You can wait and do it when we meet in person in lab, but sometime this week, I want you to talk to me about your grade. Because after April 15th, that's next Thursday, the deadline means that up until that point, you can withdraw from your courses if it doesn't look like you're going to pass, or if it doesn't look like you're going to finish with whatever grade you need to transfer to another college. You have that option to withdraw. After the 15th, you're locked in the class, and whatever grade you end up with, that's going to be your final grade. All right. So just see me about that if you have any questions. Don't drop in before you talk to me, because like sometimes I've got students who are confused about the math on it. what you can do, let's say you've got to have a C or you've got to have a B, like that's the grade that I need. What I can do is just real quick look at your average, and I can give you an idea of what grades you're going to have to make from here on out to finish with whatever grade you're looking for. All right? So just, like I said, see me, talk to me about that, and I can help you out with any questions you have. All right? Okay, I'm rambling, so I will see y'all when we do lab this week. Thanks.